Ignition. Liftoff.
Coming to you live from the White Picket Studios in Houston, Texas, this is the Realty Ruckus. If you are in any way, shape, or form involved in the real estate industry, this is the show for you. And now, your host, Alan Hernandez.
Good morning, Houston. Thank you for joining us today here at the Realty Ruckus live from the White Picket Realty Studios. We are excited to be here today. Ashley joining us to talk about legal a little later.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I'm so happy it's Friday. This is the kickoff to a phenomenal weekend. It's a very patriotic weekend, of course, and you guys know that. And there's a lot of really cool events that we're going to talk about here later on in the show. But I want to just tell you guys a little bit about what's happening right now and just, you know, my life a little bit. And since I am the host of the show, right, baby, I'm allowed to talk about myself a little bit.
Of course.
Yeah, it is called Alan's opening rant.
You know, it's kind of crazy because I get texts and emails from people sometimes, and for example, yesterday I got one. It's from a guy named Andre, and he's like, "Hey man, thank you for showing us the way that you're doing things. Thank you for kicking butt in real estate." And you know, it was somewhere along those lines. It was a really nice text message, just something that I don't normally get a lot. I mean, I get a lot of requests for information. I get a lot of hey, who do you use for this or who do you use for that? And I get a lot of that stuff from complete strangers. But to get a text like that was different, and you don't get a lot of those. And it was awesome to get it. And you know, I don't realize when I'm here talking to you guys and we're talking about real estate and what we do and how we do things. I don't realize that there are people out there that are watching us and saying, "Hey, I should try that, or I should do that, or I should maybe avoid this or that." We do this because we love this, because we love what we do. But inadvertently, I realize that we affect people's lives and how they want to live their lives. And so I don't know, man, I just thought that was really, really cool. And you know, that brought me to like thinking, well, in a large scheme of things and in the way that other people affect people's lives, we have people like Kaepernick. Now, I know you guys probably don't want to talk about this much. I know there was a football game last night that you guys wanted to bring up, the Panthers versus the Broncos and this and that. But, you know, this Kaepernick thing is getting kind of out of control. I don't know if you guys think that's true or not.
No, it's out of control. It's completely out of control.
I mean, from what I understand, there are now, and look, here's the thing. I get it. It's his right to do what he did. I totally get that. That's his First Amendment right, freedom of speech. Love it. But I'm not sure that, you know, from my original perspective hasn't changed. My original opinion hasn't changed. I didn't think what he did was appropriate at the time, but now he's got actual people, other athletes following him. And did I hear something about like an entire team trying to follow
Seattle Seahawks? Seattle Seahawks on the anniversary of 9/11. They're all talking about boycotting and all talking about sitting down. I mean, it's just and it's, I think everybody's got the right for free speech, but when you're an athlete, a professional athlete under a National Football League, I don't think you have a right to sit there and kneel down during the anthem because, quite frankly, you are playing for the National Football League, and the National Football League plays the national anthem.
That's a really good point. I mean, it is the National Football League.
Exactly.
It's not the league of players in the North Americas or in the Americas.
Yeah,
it's the
absolutely.
National Football League of the United States.
And we have a national anthem. So while we have a national anthem, if you don't support the national anthem, you shouldn't play in the National Football League. I don't think you have a right.
I don't think so either. To me, it just seems off. I have, and I know I'm going to probably tick off a bunch of my friends right now because I have a lot of friends who are supporting, you know, this cause or movement that Kaepernick's doing. I just don't think it was appropriate. It wasn't. I think there's so many other ways that he can positively change the things that are happening in the Black community without being disrespectful to the flag.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. You have a time and a place for everything. Joel, see a soccer game for the females? They actually played the national anthem before the players got on the field because that one little short hair girl, whatever her name is. Anybody know her name?
No. Let me look that
David
up.
will look
Megan, I think it's Megan Rapinoe.
Fact check.
Rapinoe. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah, Megan Rapinoe. She got her knees down and she got her on one knee to support Colin Kaepernick. So the national anthem actually played before the soccer players took the field, and she was interviewed afterwards, and she was all upset. She thought she was disrespected because she didn't have the right to disrespect the national anthem.
Don't you love that?
I mean, what a bully.
That's not fair.
It's not fair at all.
I mean,
Not fair at all. So, we have a pretty phenomenal show set up for you guys. But one of the things we want to talk about here when we get back are some of the dangers that are lurking for you. Now, as real estate investors, as realtors, you're out there looking at houses, showing houses. You're out there in these vacant properties. And I'm going to tell you guys how I got attacked by a pit bull once. That's a crazy story. I got to share it with you guys when we get back.
Hey realtors, I have a challenge for you. Walk into your broker's office and ask him to show you how to do a net listing, a wholesale investment transaction, or a subject to. I'm Alan Hernandez, broker of White Picket Realty, and my team and I have been doing these type of transactions for years. We can show you how to do the same and turn small deals into big checks. If you're interested in learning more, please contact join@teamwpr.com, join@teamwpr.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you are interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepickettrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepickettrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one. Hey Houston investors, do you have a couple deals under your belt, but now you're looking to scale in a more structured way? If so, then the House Flipping Network provides guidance to those looking to grow their real estate business. It's also a great way to mastermind with our experts and groups of like-minded investors just like yourself. If you're interested in more information, reach out to me, david@houseflippingnetwork.com. That's david@houseflippingnetwork.com. Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus, guys, and we're having a great time here in the studio today. David, what's the weather look like for this weekend? What can we expect?
Well, guys, I was hoping for a nice weekend. Finally, it seems like every weekend I want to go out and do something fun. The rain hits us once again. And guess what? It's just coming back again.
No, are you serious?
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit cooler. We're going to have a high of 88 today, so it's cooling off a bit. But I guess it's all the rain that's doing it. So
I feel like all summer, all he said was, "It's gonna be hot."
Yeah.
Now it's like, "It's gonna rain."
Yeah,
That's all he says.
man.
I feel bad.
Anyway, all right. So I want to tell you guys a little story, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because we don't give enough credit to the people that are out there showing houses and the risks that they're taking by doing it. So I got to tell y'all, when I was out there showing houses, and I don't get a chance to do that very often anymore. It's very, very rare for me to go out and open up a vacant house. But I can tell you that when I did run into some issues, and it expanded from running into people that were staying in the house that shouldn't have been there.
Well, I mean, one time I remember you called me and you sent me a picture of a bowl, and it was like a big like a mixing bowl.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was full of a white powder. And
Really?
I thought he was
Big.
just messing around, like send me a picture of some baking soda at a house or
Yeah.
something.
We talking
And he
about
was like-
Scarface White?
We're talking about
Yeah,
Scarface White.
he was
Really?
And it was a big bowl.
He goes,
Say hello to my little friend.
Yeah.
check out what I found at this house today. And I didn't believe him. And sure enough, that whole thing was a big old bowl of cocaine.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it had a bunch of credit cards sitting on the side, and,
Really?
and I mean, it was a total setup.
They weren't hiding it at
Total
all.
setup. Anyway, I'm in there with a buddy of mine, and we start hearing someone knock at the door and say, "Hey," And so we freak out. We see this stuff and we're like, man, we don't know what to do.
Right.
And for the first time ever, I actually climbed a fence.
Woo.
I climbed and jumped over the fence because I was so worried that whoever was going to walk in through that door was the owner of that bowl, you know, and was going to be like, hey, what are you doing with my bowl? Yeah, you know. So that was pretty scary. Then a few years after that, we went out and shut out. I used to have the sweetest little, you know, 80-year-old little grandma client, and she just had a ton of money to spend. So she'd be like, hey, just send me whatever house, but you know, as long as it's in the hood. And I was like, man, I hate going out there, but she used to love buying those. So we went out there one time and we get out of the house and we're talking about, you know, how she's going to buy it and this and that.
I forget the name of the grandma on Good Times.
Yeah.
But that's exactly who she, yeah, she reminded me so much of her.
Super, super sweet old lady.
Yeah.
All right. And actually she still watches our show. Her name is Maudie. And so anyways, she's probably not going to be happy that I called her an old lady. Sorry, Maudie. Anyway, so we get out of the house and she, you know, I hear just like this grunt just coming towards us, and it's getting closer and closer. And I look to my left, and it is the biggest pit bull, kid you not,
and
I've
I know
ever seen.
Me and Alan tend to exaggerate stories a little bit, but I was actually there at this one.
He was there at this one.
This was really scary. This was one of the scariest moments that I've had in this industry.
Yeah, he was freaked out about it afterwards. He didn't even know what to say about it. But the dog's coming really towards the old lady, and I'm thinking, this dog is going to take this sweet old lady and just eat her. And, you know, that's like his lunch for the day, you know, and she's got no chance at all. So I end up running, knowing that the dog is going to chase me, and that way he can avoid the old lady. And then, of course, the dog does chase me. I run around a big tree, and the dog is getting ticked off because he can't catch me.
Yeah, and he's jumping up, like trying to bite at his arm.
Yeah.
And Alan's like swiping his arm. He's like, get out of here, get away from me.
Yeah.
So finally, Alan picks up this giant stick off the ground. I mean, it looks like Mowgli from Jungle Book.
Yeah. This is a real story. This really happened, and it was so scary because as soon as I hit the dog, of course, I hit him so hard that this big thick branch that I had in my hand breaks right on his head.
Wait, were you in the tree when you were hitting the dog?
I was at the tree when I was.
Were you at the tree or inside, up top of the
No,
tree?
no.
Okay.
It was too big to climb.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm at the tree. I hit the dog on the head. The dog falls to the ground for 2 or 3 seconds, completely dazed because I broke a pretty big limb on his head. And he gets up, and I've never seen an angrier dog in my life.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was really
True
bad.
joke.
Because they say that dogs will do one of two things when that happens. They'll either run and they're gone,
Fight or flight.
or they're going to come back and try to fight.
This thing was so angry that I had just hit him. Now
it was really
he
scary.
was out to really eat me. And as he's getting ready to jump up and try to bite me, all I'm thinking is, I'm just going to give him my arm, and fine, so be it. I'll lose a piece of arm or maybe even a whole arm, but I won't die, you know? Versus, allowing him to take my neck or something like that. So as he's jumping and I'm like, all right, here's my arm, just get over with it. The owner jumps in, tackles the dog to the ground and stands up and says, oh, my bad, man. My bad.
Wow.
No. And then he goes, wait, because he saw that you had that branch in your hand. He goes, wait, did you hit my dog? And he starts yelling at Alan for hitting the dog. And we're like, dude, your dog almost killed this lady.
Yeah.
It was crazy, man. I couldn't believe it.
That was the day that I decided to go out and buy a gun. And literally, after that, when I did have a chance to go out and show some houses in some of these rougher neighborhoods, and I just went in there strapped. And it got really, really scary after that, and actually really after that, I really don't go back to those areas anymore.
No, not at all.
And the closest thing that I own to an area like that is my little house in U of H. That's it. But it was because of that actually brought some perspective to being in a rough part of town and what happens to other realtors that do that.
See, that's actually kind of heroical on your part, because there's an old joke where two hikers, they see a big bear coming at them. One of the hikers takes off his boots and puts on his running shoes. And then the guy looks up and says, what? You can't outrun a bear? And the other hiker says, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you. Yeah. You had that old lady beat. Sorry, Marty.
Sorry, Marty. No, man, it would have been really bad if that dog would have actually taken Marty down. But what are some of the other things that realtors should be doing to protect themselves?
Well, and the whole thing that sparked this conversation is we talked about the foot fetish guy a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple other incidents across the country where realtors were either attacked or they were held hostage in the house, things like that.
Yep.
So it's a lot more dangerous of an industry, I think, than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, when we come back from the break, I actually want to jump into some of the things that people are doing that are considered the most dangerous. So you don't even realize that you're putting yourself in danger when you do these things, but you are.
Yeah.
And they can actually land you in a situation where you could be a hostage or worse, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to go to break, but when we come back, we're going to jump into those.
Awesome.
Hey realtors, I have a challenge for you. Walk into your broker's office and ask him to show you how to do a net listing, a wholesale investment transaction, or a subject to. I'm Alan Hernandez, broker of White Picket Realty, and my team and I have been doing these type of transactions for years. We can show you how to do the same and turn small deals into big checks. If you're interested in learning more, please contact join at teamwpr.com. JOIN at teamwpr.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you are interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepickettrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepickettrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one. Hey Houston investors, do you have a couple deals under your belt, but now you're looking to scale in a more structured way? If so, then the House Flipping Network provides guidance to those looking to grow their real estate business. It's also a great way to mastermind with our experts and groups of like-minded investors just like yourself. If you're interested in more information, reach out to me, david@houseflippingnetwork.com. That's david@houseflippingnetwork.com. Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus, and we were talking about things that people are doing that actually put them in danger, that they don't realize that they're putting themselves in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I found really interesting is that they advise that whenever you're showing a client a home, you don't ever go into a location where there's only one exit and you be the first one to enter that room.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently that's how a lot of the hostage situations are created, where a realtor be showing a home and showing the features and saying, okay, well, this is the garage, and the garage only typically has one exit, one entrance.
Right.
They'll walk in first and then get trapped and locked inside of there.
Wow.
And won't be able to get back out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure a lot of our listeners are probably guilty of that, going into a house, not realizing they're in a place that only has one entry, one exit, type of media room type thing, you know, no windows, no other doors, one in, one out. You're trying to show off a feature. Next thing you know, you're getting locked and trapped in there.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big ones that they say is make sure that you don't do that.
Yeah. I don't know if I told you this before, but I had a bum rush me one time in the garage.
I do. Yeah.
I used to carry this mag light, right? So when I'd go out and look at these houses, this was when there was a ton of foreclosures on the market. And so I'd go out and look at, probably 2 or 3 a day and try to submit offers on them. And one of them that I walked into, I always yell out. So when I walk in, I'm always yelling, "Hey, is anybody there?" Or "Hey, realtor, showing the house," blah, 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 just so that if someone's there, they know that I'm coming in and I mean no harm, and I'll yell it out, But so back in those days, because of what happened with the dog, I used to carry this big giant mag light, right?
I remember that. Yeah, it was like the security guard mag light, or police officer mag light.
I just, I'd put it on my shoulder and just walk.
The one that takes like 7D batteries.
Yeah. This thing's like a small bat, right?
He remembered the branch.
Yeah. That branch saved me, man. That branch saved me. So I walk in, I pop open the garage door. It was one of those houses where you walk in, and to the left there's like a room, and to the right there's a door, and it leads to the garage. So first thing I do is pop open that garage door, and I hear something scuffling, and before I know it, I see this guy running towards me.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, what? I didn't know what to do. So all I did was just swing my hand as hard as I could. It was just my first reaction, and I hit the guy on the shoulder. And I hit him so hard that he kind of fell to his knee. He's like, "Hey man, why did you hit me?"
Yeah, I remember.
And you continue your conversation with your client, just like, "Okay, this is
no worries. It's vacant now. It's vacant."
Just need a little more.
Yeah, man.
Hey, this is the garage to the left. And to the right is come on, follow it. Excuse me, bum. Go ahead, next you stage left.
I just thought it was funny that a bum rushed me. I've never actually had that happen.
Where do you think the word comes from?
Yeah, right? now I get it. So what else? What else are people doing?
Oh, well, it says one on here that they recommend that realtors don't do it. And I do see realtors do this sometimes, but I see a lot of realtors not do this, is parking in a driveway. So they're saying that when you park in a driveway, you make yourself very susceptible to theft and robbery, because if they have accomplices that are in on it with them, that they could actually park behind you, prevent you from leaving, rob you, and then leave. And it says on here that one thing you have to be really careful of is that criminals are getting so smart now that the realtor will actually be in on the crime with the criminal, but it'll appear that they're not. So they'll be like, "Oh my God, I'm getting robbed too." And then later they found out that was all, it was like a conspiracy. I mean, basically they came together and they planned it all out to rob this person.
Rob like a person or maybe a house or something?
Yeah, it typically has to do with the realtor, because the next one on here says that you need to be careful not to put out like all of your jewelry and all of your really expensive devices. So it says realtors sometimes try to impress their clients by, wearing really expensive jewelry, watches, rings, glasses, and that they'll pull out, their cell phone and their iPad and their computer. They bring everything to the showing. And it's saying, if at all possible, avoid that stuff, that you can still look good without having to wear every expensive piece of jewelry you have. And you never know when you're making yourself susceptible to the theft or the robbery by doing that.
What does the list say about as far as women's putting their picture on flyers or pictures on the cards showing?
It doesn't actually mention that, but it does say on here that you should always meet at the office first.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I know that we do that here with our agents. That's just standard protocol. We will not allow an agent to go show a home to someone who hasn't actually come to our office first. And that is for safety reasons.
And the only exception to that, and there are some exceptions that happen every now and then, will require a copy of the other person's ID.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Sometimes, there are scenarios where for whatever reason they can't come to the office. Then, all right, I need to see your ID and, hopefully a pre-approval or a proof of funds.
Yeah.
But an ID for sure. And then good practice is to let someone else know, someone else in the office, that you're going to go show that house or that you're going to go.
Yeah, we're real strict on that. Almost like the buddy system. If you're going to go show a house, you got to let somebody else know.
Yeah.
Right. That way, it's kind of like the old joke. If I'm not back in 15 minutes, then call the police. Well, that's actually true. Like if somebody doesn't call us back after a certain amount of time, and we know that they were going with a new client that they don't really know that much, that gives us reason to worry and to say, hey, what's going on with that person? They never let us know that they were at that showing or that the showing finished.
Yeah. And women are in a lot of danger, in my opinion.
Oh, there are a lot of danger
from sexual predators and people that want to rob them.
Yeah.
And I tell my wife, because my wife's always like, how come you're not afraid of these people? I mean, and I'm like, the problem the thing that I think is that people that are out there preying on people will likely prey on someone who they believe is weak. Right. And so if you're out there and you're an easy target and you have a bunch of jewelry and you're 100 pounds and they're 200 pounds, they're going to think it's going to be easy to take your jewelry. So don't set yourself up for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
You know, and
Don't be
so-
100 pounds. Start
and
eating.
No, I'm just
And don't be
kidding.
100 Where's the drop button? Where's the drop button?
No, man. You know, you just and you got to stay open to your surroundings. You know, we had a scary scenario. I don't know if you guys know this. My wife and I like to go out salsa dancing on the weekends. We don't do it every weekend, but every once in a while we'll go out and we'll dance a little salsa. You know, that's our little thing.
That's your getaway, your
That's our
relaxation.
little getaway. You know what I mean?
Little exercise.
Yeah, it's a great way to go out and exercise and not get, you know, fat by staying at home and eating pizza. So we like to go out and do that and whatnot. But one time we were leaving the salsa bar, which is it's nearby. It's here in the Galleria. And as we walk out of the venue, there's a guy standing just looking at his phone, looking down. And I mean, you can totally tell the guy means no good, right?
Yeah.
And there's a couple behind us, and the guy looks like he's getting ready to try to walk behind us as we walk past him. So immediately I stop, and she's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Look, let this guy pass by." And he literally looked at me like, "You son of a..."
Yeah, you ruined his plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, "You go ahead, sir." And he just kept walking. But I was like, you know, that guy was up to no good. I could totally tell in his body language. And if we'd have let him walk right behind us all the way to our car, who knows what could have happened.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But the fact that I was like, "Hey, I know what you're doing," you know, maybe scared him away a little bit.
Well, and yeah, it says on here too that's a one really big thing. It says even if you know the clients, don't ever drop into a comfort zone to where you're no longer aware of everything that's going around you.
Yeah.
That even your most well-known clients, they may not be actually setting you up, but there may be somebody who's monitoring you that's setting all of you up, and so that you should remain aware at all times.
You need to be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
So if you're showing a house, should you always let the client go in first, like a door, like a bedroom, or anywhere?
Well, it says on here that they do recommend that like you show the areas that are pertinent to the house, but that the other rooms that don't have windows or other doors,
Right.
that it's easier to just say, "Hey, I'm going to let you check out the features of the house, and we'll meet back here to talk about it."
So you just stay in the room and let them look at the house.
Well, you know, I actually think that's just better practice nowadays. I don't think walking right in front of everyone or walking every room and saying, "Well, here's the bedroom and here's this and that."
Yeah, right.
Right.
I feel like that's the easy way to sell a house nowadays. So
Right.
if you're a realtor out there and you're doing that, you probably sound like a used car salesman, and you should probably consider changing your strategy. People don't really like that. So it's better if you go in there, "Hey, this is what the house is. These are the features. These are these are the details. Here's something that talks more about it. Feel free to take a look around and let me know if you have any more questions."
I'll be right here.
It's really
That
the
makes
best
sense.
way to go. Not only is it safer for you as the realtor, but it's better for you, you know, as a salesperson to not just hover over them.
Yeah, and the last piece of advice before we jump into our next topic is for commercial realtors specifically. So it mentions on here that most commercial buildings have a lot of office space that's interior office space. So it's not around the windows. And what it
Right.
says here is that if you're showing a space for the first time to a commercial client, which apparently it's a lot more common when you're representing a commercial building to show to brand new people, like people you've never met, you've never had in your office or
That's
anything.
true. If you think about it, when we were looking for office space, that was the case.
Yeah, I mean, they knew
We
nothing
didn't-
about
we didn't
us.
meet at anybody's office.
No.
We just said, "Hey, come show us a space," and people would show up.
Yeah, and it says on here that if you're the agent who's doing those commercial properties, to always be sure and stay near the windows. Don't allow yourself to get lured into the middle of the property where there's no windows and typically no lights or anything. It's all just
Wow.
surrounded there, and that's a big place where commercial realtors wind up getting robbed a lot of the time.
Right. Well, you know, here's the other thing. We're in Texas, and you should just get your license and carry with you.
Pack
You know,
it
that's
on.
just
Right.
just my thing.
Yeah.
You know, and if I'm in a scenario, or if I'm in a neighborhood, or if I'm someplace where I'm not, you know, quite comfortable, you better believe that if you spook me now, you're in trouble. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, you know, if you're out there and you're taking these kind of risks by showing vacant properties, or you're in, you know, showing some rough neighborhoods, or you're showing to people that maybe you don't know personally, you need to protect yourself. And if you don't want to carry a gun, then at least carry one of those guns that shoot pepper spray. Have you guys seen those before?
Yeah, they look just like a gun, but
Yeah.
they shoot pepper spray cartridges.
Yeah. And those are really effective. They're really good. At least, I mean, you could probably at least stun somebody enough to run.
Yeah.
You know, it might not stop them.
They say that the ones that are like almost like paintballs and they blow up and the pepper spray goes everywhere are really effective. They're like that a grown man will be taken down by one of those, that it burns so badly.
Well, the reason for that is they don't hit they're not exposed to the air all the time. And so they're concealed. And so when it hits, it's that much more concentrated.
Yeah.
Because the first time exposed to the air, it's like hits right there.
Boom.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Because in a can, it loses effectiveness.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I used to carry a can. I never, you know, used it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You just pick up sticks from the ground.
It's like a condom in your wallet, you know.
Yeah.
If you keep a condom in your wallet long enough, it's no
It's
longer
good.
effective.
No good anymore.
So true. So true. So
The one last thing I'll say, and this has to do with protection devices, is for those people that carry a taser and you think
it's
that
such
you're
a
safe
joke.
with the
No,
taser,
such a joke.
just throw that thing away.
Right.
There's very few tasers, and the only tasers
Even the
that
commercial ones.
well, the only ones that I think that work are the ones that the cops use that
The ones
actually
that
have
shoot out.
Yeah, they have the two prongs,
Right,
and those prongs go into you and
Yep.
then shock you underneath on your muscular level. Not
Are you
on
not
your
able to
skin
buy
level.
those? Or
No, you can buy them. You can buy them.
Oh, you can.
You can
Okay,
buy
I didn't
them.
know you could buy
You
that
can buy them
kind.
from certain thrift stores or something like that. But I mean, they're considered illegal, but they're no longer illegal like a billy club or anything like that. I mean, but
Yeah,
if you're going to use a taser, use one of those, because the likelihood of you being able to tase somebody,
get close
very-
enough first of
right,
all.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a little thing and goes, you know, and
Yeah. You know what's funny is there are these salesmen that go to real estate offices all the time and sell them on these safety products. And one of the things that they sell you on is buying this small little taser. And it's cheap. It's like $20 or $25. So
Right.
everyone wants to buy it. Everyone's like, yeah, I need that for protection. It's such a good deal. And so one of our agents a few years back bought one. You guys remember that?
I do. This is why I was saying don't use a taser, because of this exact scenario.
Did you try it?
We did it on everyone in the office.
Oh,
Like,
no, really?
we all took a shot off of it.
Oh,
And I'll tell you, it's not that bad.
Really?
It would definitely not subdue me.
It just pinches you. That's
Yeah,
all it is.
really?
It's like getting like a purple nurple. Yeah, and you can survive through one of those. It's
Yeah.
not going to subdue you.
Funny thing is, on one of those tries, we're like, all right, so we're gonna do like a human chain, right? And one of us is gonna get stung on the end and see if it goes through all of us, right?
Yeah, we did do that.
Yeah, remember that?
And just so everyone knows, it does go through you.
And how many people got hit?
Everybody.
Really?
Everyone got hit.
Really?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, everyone in the office tried it, and they can all tell you that even at the highest peak of pain, it's not enough to subdue you.
Right.
Definitely, it wouldn't stun a grown man. Not enough to keep him away.
That's somebody with ill tension.
Anyway, when we get right back, we got to take a quick little break. But when we get right back, we want to talk a little bit of legal,
Okay.
which is why we have Ashley here to tell us more about what happens with HOAs taking our money, right? And what happens when you put owner of record on your contract. I know everyone out there does that. I'm going to tell you, or we're going to tell you why it's not such a good idea. We'll be right back.
Hey realtors, I have a challenge for you. Walk into your broker's office and ask him to show you how to do a net listing, a wholesale investment transaction, or a subject to. I'm Alan Hernandez, broker of White Picket Realty, and my team and I have been doing these type of transactions for years. We can show you how to do the same and turn small deals into big checks. If you're interested in learning more, please contact join at teamwpr.com. JOIN at teamwpr.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you're interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepickettrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepickettrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one. Hey, Houston investors, do you have a couple deals under your belt, but now you're looking to scale in a more structured way? If so, then the House Flipping Network provides guidance to those looking to grow their real estate business. It's also a great way to mastermind with our experts and groups of like-minded investors just like yourself. If you're interested in more information, reach out to me, david@houseflippingnetwork.com. That's david@houseflippingnetwork.com. Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus, and we were just having some fun talking about people getting tased and tasers and all sorts of good information today.
Those are the most fun.
But we want to jump into getting into our legal topic. It's been a couple of weeks since Ashley's been with us. Life's a lot better for him now since his awful, wretched week he had that one week.
Yes. Nothing like losing your house and everything you own.
Yeah, you get new stuff.
Hey, shout out to Michael Boyd and Stephen Coggins. They actually bought me a couple of shirts and a pair of pants. So
that's really nice of them, man. Good job,
guys.
Yeah.
Scholars and gentlemen.
There you go.
Now I feel bad. I feel obligated to go to like Ross and buy him something.
Yes.
I've got a whole wardrobe on Ross right now. So if you haven't, it's either A, it's made for women, or B, I already bought it.
Ross and Marshalls.
Very cool.
So
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we want to get into the legal, and we want to start talking about specifically about HOAs and the way that HOAs function, and really what legal rights do you have against an HOA, and does it even make sense to fight an HOA?
Well, we've had some issues with HOAs.
Right.
We lost our Kima Airbnb to an HOA battle.
Yeah, we did.
Right. That was our first attempt at an Airbnb,
which went great.
Super successful. We made great money, did awesome with it until the HOA said, hey, we don't really like you guys doing that. Here's a fat lawsuit. Sell the house or get into more of a lawsuit.
Yeah, and what's amazing to me is how willing HOAs are to just file a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yep.
There is no in between. It's like, hey, if you don't do what we say, lawsuit.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, right, lawsuit. And next thing you know, there's a lawsuit and you're getting served.
So we got brave on that round. We were like, hey, we have cool attorney friends, we can fight you guys. And they're like, yeah, you can fight us, but if you do, we're just gonna raise everyone's fees and we're just gonna outspend you.
Right.
So
the biggest thing with HOAs is they don't go after the person. They don't go after the individual. The individual gets sued, what's known as in rem. They're going after the property. Yeah. Property has no rights.
Mm-hmm.
Constitutional rights are individual rights, not property. So it's I'm still trying to find proof of this, but I'm thinking HOAs are getting kickback from law firms. Lawyers aren't getting kickbacks from HOAs, but it's vice versa, because when's the last time you got sued by an HOA and the HOA comes in and says, hey, wait, you're charging my clients, the homeowners, too much money in legal fees.
Yeah.
I mean, a $200 a year HOA fee go to $7,000 pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And HOAs, they file lawsuits because who's going to stop them?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody follows ambulances anymore. They're all following HOAs.
That's right. That's right. If you have attorney friends, you'll realize that the law world is changing drastically right now. So as laws change, the attorneys say, okay, there's no more money in these type of cases. There's more money in these type of cases.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of attorneys are going towards HOAs.
HOA litigation, that's where it's at.
Yeah. And so I think it's baffling to see that, because there's got to be something there that we don't know. And you're right. There's no proof of the attorney kicking them back something, but there's got to be something there, because why wouldn't they complain about the crazy fees? Then again, like Jabron said, the reason we couldn't win our battle with them was because we were never going to outspend them.
No, and here's what's amazing is during our battle, we were fighting the HOA. We were in an active lawsuit. Like, this was a lawsuit filed and everything. It was with the courts. And during this whole lawsuit, we're getting bills from the HOA for their legal fees.
So we were paying their legal fees.
Charged against us. And because in the bylaws, it says that if the HOA has to incur any legal fees, then the homeowner who they had to incur them against is responsible for all of those legal fees.
Right. If they don't pay them, they'll do a special assessment and they'll bill every homeowner.
Yeah.
Now your neighbors hate you.
Yeah. Now we would have to outspend every person in the all the units in order to be able to potentially win. So it didn't make sense for us.
Like suing the national government or the state government. You're not going to win because there's no way you could ever outspend them, and they have unlimited amounts of revenue.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I mean, whatever you're fighting, ultimately, you're going to probably end up losing because the HOA has continual lien. So if they don't file a lawsuit, they start the foreclosure action.
Yep.
And now what happens with HOA forecloses? They're still subject to the mortgage unless you did a home equity loan, which generally HOAs won't subordinate to home equity loan.
Yeah.
But other than that, HOAs will get the property. They'll continue paying the mortgage. Then they'll turn around and sell the property subject to the mortgage, or sell the property. Somebody come in.
Really? So I didn't know that. Did you know that HOA sell property subject to?
No, I know that they were chasing down the actual asset, and that's why it's so scary for you to buy, you know, a condo or one of those units where you're mandated to be part of this HOA, because their ultimate goal is to take that property from you.
That's right.
If they don't like you, if there's an issue with you. And look, perfect example is the deal that we're dealing with right now over in Miramar. This HOA just flat out has some issues with the seller.
Yeah. So we have a situation right now where the HOA was self-managed.
Okay.
And they didn't keep very good books and records. And they were also in a personal argument with the seller there. Obviously, at this point, she wasn't a seller. She was actively living there at the property. But over time, they just kept getting in disputes. They went out and they finally got a management company. And to the management company, they said, here's balance forward. So this is where everyone's starting balance is. And you guys keep the books from here. But then when it came time to close, that seller that they'd been arguing with, that they didn't get along with, they sent a payoff in for over $20,000, saying that they hadn't received any assessments for several years. Now, the seller, in the HOA's defense, also didn't keep any records, which is really unadvisable.
Yeah.
You should always keep records of every payment you make, whether it's a check, a money order, cash, even cash. You need to get something in writing saying a receipt that you paid that.
But here's the thing. This seller thinks that she owes $5,000 to the HOA, and the payoff comes back at 20 something and change.
Yeah.
20-some thousand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a huge discrepancy there. And of course, you know, our resident bulldog Jabron calls them up and gives them, you know, a piece of his mind and says, hey, you got to prove that she owes you all of this, otherwise you're not getting anything at all.
Right.
But then we start getting back into the whole, well, you know, if we want to take it to court, then we can do a special assessment.
Yeah. So it's funny because the first thing they did was assess a due. So remember I said earlier, they start charging for everything. That was the first thing HOA did. It was charge a fee for putting together all of the statements,
of course,
for the homeowner. And I'm like, wait, shouldn't you be keeping those books and records like readily available to get? And no, apparently they can charge a fee, and hourly. They charge $25 an hour for 10 hours, 10 point something hours, which came out to like $260 something to get all of those statements in and say, okay, well, here's what we have, and this is what you owe. And then without even really proving that any of that was owed, they were like, let's just settle. Yeah. Let's just find a way to settle and not have to fight this. Yeah. So yeah, HOAs are they're incredibly difficult to deal with. You don't have a lot of power.
Yeah.
The only way you can deal with an HOA is to become part of the HOA, is to get on the board, seek election, because, you know, HOAs, they don't only manage the property, they manage the people who live in the property.
Yeah.
Because they can do skeptical things, and they can turn around, and if they don't like somebody, they don't like a homeowner, they start charging them all kinds of stupid fees. And pretty soon they scare them away. They force them out, because the homeowner is not going to beat the HOA. And so if, you know, it's a modern way, race, you know, exclusion.
Yeah.
You know, you can't turn around and exclude them by basis, sex, religion, race, or creed. But what you can do is you can have an HOA who not like somebody, and they start taxing all these illegal fees against them, which are unjustified. Now, obviously, if you can prove it because they're race, but a lot of times you have this done against, you know, a white male, which there are no racial things about them. If they don't like the white male, guess what? You know, $20 for this fee, $30 for this fee, $50 for this fee. Start putting on legal fees, and next thing you know, they're out of Dodge.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Ashley. Let's say somebody moves into a complex with an HOA, whether it be a townhome or a condo, where it's a mandatory monthly assessment, a pretty expensive one, you know, over $200, $300 a month, and the person becomes concerned because of the quality of the building. Okay. So everything starts falling apart. You can tell that maintenance is not being done, and progressively it's getting worse and worse and worse. If you're not on the board, what can you do in that situation when you're becoming concerned that everything's falling apart and you see your property values falling apart as well?
You get on the board. That's the only thing you can do, because they all have votes. You go to meetings, you vote something, you put it in, but ultimately the votes are just that. They're a vote. If you're not a director of the board, I mean, you have to look at the bylaws of HOA. Like some HOAs, they say, hey, we put everything to a vote, and then the vote will be taken upon the directors.
Yeah.
And that directors may be either they shall or they may impose the vote. So if they shall, then obviously if everybody votes to put in their money to buy a new roof, then it has to be done. But if the director said it may take the vote into account, then they take it under obligation or under advisement, and they decide, hey, let's take the money and let's put it over here to the to new paint or something like that, or let's put this into surplus fund to use in later years. Now, a lot of times that comes into play with like a mid-rise or something like that. We're mid-rise to where it's just they're falling down, and what happens to those mid-rises is pretty soon the repairs get so expensive to where they can't keep accessing the dues, because I mean they're pretty much on the level of condemned. And so if you're going to buy an older mid-rise, be careful with the HOA fees, because they may not be high enough to take care of major problems.
What happens in the event that the building becomes condemned? So let's say the city of Houston comes in and says, wait, because those are all commercial, they have to have an occupancy permit.
That's exactly right.
So what happens when their occupancy certificate gets pulled and they say this is no longer livable? And
everybody's evicted in that case. They sell the building, and then they take their portion of the sale. And so a lot of times it's only land value, because the building obviously is not occupied, and you own a piece of the building, not the actual land. So you own an undivided portion of land. So generally what happens in that situation, you get paid per land value, and sometimes you make back 30 cents on a dollar.
Wow, that's pretty scary.
And if you have a mortgage, you may be upside down.
That's exactly right. If you're in a mortgage, you will be upside down.
Yeah, what happens with that mortgage? Are you still under the obligation?
There's no such thing as gap insurance. You're still under the obligation. So what happens is you basically, you get what you can, and the mortgage company will always be paid off first. So 30 cents on a dollar, if you owe 100,000, you get back $30,000. Then the mortgage company sues you for deficiency for 70 grand. Now they have 2 years to file the deficiency, but normally they'll do it. And of course, if it's your homestead, you may be protected, because the phantom debt is then, they can't go after you. So if it's your homestead, you might get lucky.
So how does that work? I've never heard of that before. Phantom debt. What does that
Phantom
mean?
debt, whenever you own a mortgage and then the property gets foreclosed on, the resulting balance is considered phantom debt.
Okay.
And so they can sue you for that resulting balance. Now, under the Foreclosure Act, the Foreclosure Relief Act that Obama signed into play, basically they can't come after you if it's your homestead.
So it's fully non-recourse.
Fully non-recourse.
Wow. Okay, that's
so
interesting.
you lose your home at your homestead. Basically, you lose your home and you're done.
Yeah.
But if it's not your homestead, if it's a second home, you lose your home, then they come after you if they file a lawsuit within 2 years.
Wow, that's really good information.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it means if you own that property as an investor, you're in bad shape.
Yeah.
But if you're living there and you file your homestead, you may have some hope.
Yeah.
Right?
Some sort of side of relief.
That's good information, because a lot of people don't realize what they're jumping into when they're buying these townhomes and condos. And for homeowners, it makes sense sometimes, because they don't want to deal with all the upkeep of a home, and it makes it just easier. Sometimes it's just cheaper. Plus, you can live in a nicer part of town and not spend as much. I mean, there's some upside to buying some of those, but these HOAs and mismanagement of funds and not keeping the building up, you're absolutely right. That can completely ruin your values. It can completely ruin your real estate. And if you don't figure out, how to get on the board and make positive changes, you may be in a scenario where you owe money for a home that, you should.
Yeah, that is pretty scary. I didn't realize that the city comes in, condemns it, everyone gets kicked out, basically booting everyone to the curb. That's crazy, man.
And
That's
everybody
crazy.
and everybody's stuck with the mortgage.
Yeah. Now, before our time is up, actually, our time is getting ready to be up. We got to take a quick commercial break, but we wanted to talk a little bit about putting owner of record on a contract. And I know a lot of people do that. We just have a few more seconds. Is it a good idea, or is it a bad idea to put it on your contract? What do you think, Ashley?
I'll tell you what, we'll put this vote to the listeners, and we might have to come back next week and talk about it.
I think so. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
realtors, I have a challenge for you. Walk into your broker's office and ask him to show you how to do a net listing, a wholesale investment transaction, or a subject to. I'm Alan Hernandez, broker of White Picket Realty, and my team and I have been doing these type of transactions for years. We can show you how to do the same and turn small deals into big checks. If you're interested in learning more, please contact join at teamwpr.com. JOIN at teamwpr.com.
Stop searching and start staying in the know with our Houston Real Estate Events page on Facebook. Follow us by searching at Houston Real Estate Events to stay up to date on the latest events for real estate in the Houston area. If you are interested in having your event on our page, please email me at david@whitepickettrealty.com. Again, that's david@whitepickettrealty.com. Non-paid events only. One more time, find us on Facebook at Houston Real Estate Events, and we'll see y'all at the next one. Hey, Houston investors, do you have a couple deals under your belt, but now you're looking to scale in a more structured way? If so, then the House Flipping Network provides guidance to those looking to grow their real estate business. It's also a great way to mastermind with our experts and groups of like-minded investors just like yourself. If you're interested in more information, reach out to me, david@houseflippingnetwork.com. That's david@houseflippingnetwork.com. Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
And we are back on Realty Ruckus, and we're coming into our last segments here. Unfortunately, we're getting close to the end of the show, but I know that you guys did want to talk about the I forgot what it was that you were just
owner
saying.
of record or bank account?
Owner of record, yeah, owner of record.
Well, you know, the thing about that is a lot of people use owner of record as the seller's name on a contract.
Yeah.
And one of the things Ashley and I were talking about is, well, what happens when you put that and the owner of record signs as owner of record and decides to just sell to someone else? Is that contract still valid?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You see, the contract's valid as long as he's owner of the record. But now if he doesn't want to sell the property, say he sells the property to his son, who's 14 years old, or transfers the property to his son, who's 14 years old. I mean, now all of a sudden the owner of record is somebody who's a minor.
Yeah.
Or he sells it to his sister, his brother, his cousin, his mother, his father, his son. I mean, it doesn't matter because, I mean, if you're going to use owner of record and you find out who the owner of record is, amend the contract to include the owner of record's name. Then he's personally liable to the contract. So I see so many realtors use owner of record and they show up at closing table and the contract still says owner of record.
Mm-hmm.
I take the realtor aside and quickly saying, you fool.
Yeah.
I don't say the words you fool, but obviously I've always advised the realtors saying, hey, what happens if this guy decides he doesn't want to sell the contract anymore?
Yeah.
Now you no longer, because the guy's not personally liable because he might be owner of record today. That doesn't mean he'll be owner of record tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so just, cross your T's, dot your I's. And that's one avenue to where everybody uses owner of record. I mean, I see it all the time. Yep. There's nothing wrong, but when you know who the owner of record is, amend the contract to include the owner of record's name.
There you go. So make sure you guys are doing that for your contracts from now on. I know we've put owner of record for our contracts in the past, and I never thought about that before. It's just something that kind of slips your mind as you're doing business every day. It makes it easy to just put owner of record instead of researching the owner's name.
Yeah, I can't even count the times that we've put owner of record.
Yeah,
and we do that all the time.
Yeah. So I know we're running out of time, so I got to push you guys forward. We got to talk a little bit about some of these fake accounts, and I told you guys a little bit of the story that happened to me recently, where someone on Facebook approached me, and it was in the name with the picture of someone that I knew personally, and they said, "Hey, I need some money, please help," blah blah blah. And I thought it was strange, So I was like, yeah, how's your family doing? How are your kids? Yeah. Oh, they're fine. What were your kids' names again? And the only reason I did that was to try to figure out if that was a person that I was speaking to. And as I was trying to dig out, personal information, of course, they immediately blocked me. But then there's the other scenario where people are making not just fake Facebook accounts, which is not that big of a deal. And if you're smart enough, you can avoid some of them. But there's people that are making fake bank accounts.
Yeah. Well, and it's actual employees of the banks that were creating the fake accounts. So they get paid. And I think David can speak on this probably a little bit more because he actually used to work at a bank.
Yeah.
But people were, the employees there get bonuses and off of creating accounts. So they would go in and make fake accounts, but in your name.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyone who could be listening right now, there could be a fake Wells Fargo account in your actual name that's overdrawn right now because the original balance wouldn't be enough to pay for the monthly dues. So they pull the dues out, then it becomes overdrawn, and you've got all of these. It's like over 1 million accounts that were fake. They've already fired 5,300 employees that were creating all of these fake accounts, and apparently this is like a systemic problem across banking.
Yeah, it's across different banks. You have a lot of pressure on the bankers, the personal bankers there, to meet certain sales goals, certain quotas, reach certain numbers. And so what happens is you do see those type of fraudulent accounts being created at the bank I used to work at. I know there was a lot of pressure to achieve sales goals month in and month out. And we heard stories of people. These people weren't actually like real people that they created accounts for. Some people, they were just making up socials and names and stuff.
So completely fictitious.
Completely fictitious. Or they would open up like 10 different accounts for family members and stuff like that. So
just so they could get credit for those accounts.
Exactly, just for getting credit. And
now,
usually
isn't
you
there
would
a minimum a balance that you have to open up with? I mean, like $10, $100.
Well, see, at the bank I used to work at, it was only a buck to open up an account.
Really? So
Yeah.
how many bank accounts did you open up fictitiously?
There was a couple here and there.
But
I'll be honest.
that's crazy because if you do, let's say there's a bank account opened up in one of our names, and it gets overdrawn. Now we owe that bank money.
Yeah.
I'm sure that gets, unless they knew about it and unless they knew it was a fake account, they probably turn that over into a debt collector.
Right.
Then that could go into your credit.
Well, and
then that can affect your purchasing power.
my understanding is that's how they started to figure out that this was happening because
Wow.
they started going and chasing after people. And as they're chasing after these people, they come to the realization because these people are like, wait, I didn't even have an account with Wells Fargo. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And Wells Fargo was like, no, you owe us like $380 something in monthly fees and overdrafts and everything else.
Wow.
Well, it's typically customers who are already bank customers, and they just create extra accounts, actually open up extra credit cards in their name.
Yeah.
So always be very wary at those banks where they seem to really want to push their products on you.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing that you can and you should be doing is keeping an eye on your credit. I mean, I have
Absolutely.
like I have a service that will tell me anytime my credit is hit or anything that's happening with it, or I know at all times where my credit score is at. And I think if you're in this business, you should know what's happening with your credit.
Do you use LifeBlock or who do you use?
I don't know. There's some service. I don't actually know it, but yeah, I mean, I get text messages when there's a credit change by more than a point. But anyways, I know, look, we're getting close to the end, so we got to talk a little bit about some of the events that are coming up. I want to mention the fact that we're getting ready to take a quick little trip to Los Angeles. We're going to take a trip and go to the National Convention for NAREP. That's the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. And we mentioned last time, you don't have to be Hispanic to go and be a part of this organization or this event. But if you want to look up an event to go to that will literally change your business, this is it. Not only is it a handful of days of training and insightfulness, but you're rubbing elbows with some of the absolute top best agents, lenders, people in the business who are out there making millions and millions of dollars, and you get a chance to literally pick their brain. It's not just about going to the classes. It's about being around people that will elevate your business.
Yeah.
And so far, and I've only been a part of NAREP this year, a part of the board, I mean. I can tell you that everything that I exchange with the board is in that manner. It's raising all of our businesses to the next level. So make sure you guys check out. You guys go to the NAREP website, check out the national convention. It's $100 if you buy your ticket through Spirit. That's what I paid for my Spirit ticket. You know, it's not expensive. Plus the convention's only like a couple $100. So it's totally worth the money that you'll spend for an awesome experience. The other thing we have a September 28th event, learning how to
exactly.
hire a VA.
We do have a VA class coming up with Richard Smith. We'll be teaching everybody how to vet, hire, and effectively use a virtual assistant. For all the realtors out there that are looking to, you know, go from a one-man team and start the actual business, move their career forward. I know they often have times, you know, questions about, well, I really can't afford it. Here we show you how you can afford.
You can absolutely afford it, and you can't afford not to have an assistant.
I like that.
I don't have my personal assistant here today, and it, you know, don't tell him I said this, but it feels weird.
Well, he's listening.
He should
Never
know.
mind. Let's talk some
Never
crap real
mind.
quick.
Erase that comment. Rewind. You know, it's difficult once you get used to having people help you with your everyday tasks. All right, we got to move on. October 27th, we have an event with Quest that's called Fright Night. You guys look out for that. Definitely an event you guys want to reach
put
out
that on
to.
the calendar.
Put that on your calendar. That's October 27th. And the same day, we're going 26. I'm sorry. We're going bowling with Patten Law Firm, Texas American Title, and it's going to be a phenomenal event. That's over 200 top professionals here in Houston that will go to this event. And if you guys have never been to one of Ashley's parties, it's probably one of the best events.
Ain't no party like an Ashley party.
It's phenomenal. This guy knows how to throw a
costumes
party.
required. Costume required.
Make
everybody.
sure you bring your costumes. We're gonna be dressed like Tyrion Lannister and who else?
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
We're going full Game of Thrones this year.
Anyway, all right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday at 10 a.m.
This has been the Realty Ruckus. Make sure and join us every Tuesday and Friday for new episodes. Find us on YouTube and Facebook for replays of previous episodes. And as always, keep elevating yourself and keep up your ruckus. Thanks for listening. Realty Ruckus has been brought to you by Smart Pig Media Productions.